Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Olivia. Thanks, Graham. Awesome. Okay. Well, first, welcome everybody. I hope everybody's safe and well. We're going to go tonight through how to increase eBay sales fast, even for beginners. And I'm going to try and do as much Q&A as possible tonight. We have got a lot of people on tonight. I've got a lot of content, so we might not get through everyone's questions, so apologies for that, but I'll do my best. But we want to get through a lot of content tonight. So we'll just rock and roll straight on into it. With my reading glasses, here we go. All right, fun. Once you hit 50 or once you hit 40, your eyes start going down. Also, now I'm on reading glasses. Anyone's got any questions as we go through, just type them in, and so I'll do my best to get through as many as I can. Okay, so firstly, so welcome everyone. It's great to have everyone here. So look forward to sharing some information with you guys. Q&A. Now, for the questions that come through, we're going to have on here. We also have newbies, and we also have people who are very experienced who have their own full-time businesses. Now, if you are a newbie and you hear some questions that come through and you think, oh my God, I don't have a clue what they're talking about, don't stress about it. You'll get there. It's all about the baby steps. And every full-time seller, we all started off knowing nothing. We're all born with none of this information. So we all have to learn. Because one thing I hear a lot is people say to me, Neil, I've never ever done this before. And hello, none of us have. All right, so for those who don't know much about me and my story, basically I started off, I've been in business now for over 30 years. I've been selling online for over 20 years. We started selling used items from home just as a bit of fun, as a hobby, and then it turned into selling new items. We started in Sydney, and then we moved up to the mid-north coast of South Wales. We run the whole thing these days from a farm, and we have no staff on the premises. We have no stock on the premises. Everything is done virtually. So it's all done virtually. And we've done these businesses with eBay and Amazon in many countries, including obviously Australia, USA, Canada, UK, Ireland, Spain, and you guys can do exactly the same thing. All right, so if we use any words tonight that people don't understand, please ask, and you'll also hear some of the from the Q&A of people putting in questions and you don't understand what those words are, please ask. We can all get caught up with what we call the curse of knowledge when you've been doing things long enough, and I've been doing this for over 20 years. You do tend to use words in the industry that other people don't know, and it's the same with everybody else, whatever industry that you're in, it's easy to use words where other people don't understand. And for the newbies out there, something that comes a lot is, oh, I've never done this before. So, and like it says here from Thomas Jefferson, if you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. So it's all about learning new things and stretching our brains a little bit. And it all comes down to this, the baby steps, the 5-minute rule, the little baby steps. All right, so quick market update to what's going on. And obviously it's a very interesting time that we live in. Most people would know that online sales have gone pretty much ballistic. Basically, we have a captive market. People are staying at home. A lot of bricks and mortar stores are closed. And many of them, unfortunately, will never reopen ever again. So it has been a totally captive market. And a lot of people would know that even a lot of suppliers have got low on stock and run out of stock of certain items because of the huge demand that there's been. We've seen some items increase in sales by over 400%. I'm hearing that back from my coaching clients as well. So just a little bit of an overview of what has been going on. We all know about the toilet paper issues and the hand sanitizer, that kind of stuff. And there's been a lot of things but people get bored and people start buying, not just buying things that they have to buy, but they get bored and they buy other things as well. But also this little picture is good because it shows on the bottom other things that sales have dropped off. And things like, luggage, because people aren't traveling, obviously, briefcases, formal wear, of course, people aren't going out, all sorts of stuff. So, and that's one thing I really like about drop shipping is that we can very quickly pivot them to what sells well. What's going on? Obviously, the gym equipment has gone ballistic, just bread machines, all that kind of stuff. All right, so sales since the COVID-19, online sales have obviously really taken off because, of course, we have a captive market. And I expect that to stay. Like we obviously, for the last 20 years, online sales just keeps growing and growing and growing because more and more people realize it's a lot easier just to stay at home and just get your phone out, get on your computer and order items. And these days, we're seeing over 70% of items being bought from smart devices. So today, I really do believe it is the glory days. And COVID-19 is more people than ever are purchasing online. And so some items over 400% growth. Now tonight, I'm going to be showing you all different ways of increasing eBay sales. And the main thing here is to focus on there's no guessing. Everything I do and everything we teach is all about having virtual assistants do the work for you. And if the virtual assistants are doing it for you, then they can't guess. If a virtual assistant is allowed to guess, there's a greater than 50% chance they'll screw it up. So there's no guessing. Everything has to be set numbers. Everything's yes or no, and there's no but box. So tonight, these days, you don't need capital anymore. When I first started, we had to do all sorts of stuff to get capital. These days, you don't have to do that. You can do things like dropshipping, where you can build a business using less than $100. You also don't need to leave the comfort of your house, and thank God with what's been going on, you can run the whole business from home. You don't have to have couriers over. You don't have to people picking things up. You simply do not need to leave the comfort of your own house. You don't have to have staff in your house anymore. It's very easy to outsource every task. We've never ever had this ability in the history of mankind that we could do this. And of course, you can get virtual assistants from $1 an hour, and you use 10% of your profits to pay for those VAs. Tools and software which we have available now literally weren't around 2 years ago. And it's so much easier to do. In the past, I used to continually fly to Asia, to Cebu, to train my staff, to China, to purchase items, Japan, etc. These days, you don't have to do any of that stuff. You can sit at home, or you can build a team who work overseas who can do it all for you. So the path's already been laid. We don't have to do this stuff ourselves. Now, just for some people who came on, I know a few people more came on then. If you have any questions as we go through, please type them into the question and answer box. I'll do my best to get through as many questions tonight as I possibly can. Buyers are spending more than ever they've ever spent in their life on online sales now, which is the glory days. And of course, they're trusting e-commerce more than ever. And it's always been like this. Over 95% of eBay sellers, and it's the same on Amazon, they just guess everything. And if you learn how to optimize listings, which is, and you guys have made the effort to be here tonight. If you learn how to do this stuff, you'll beat over 95% of other sellers who are not on this call tonight. All right, and there's a huge reason we do it. The difference of most products is always a factor of what we call 6 and 10. And what I mean by the 6-10 is the difference between being in 10th place or number 1 is normally a factor of 6 times the sales, so 6 to 10 times the sales. And as you see on here, for one particular item, the number 1 seller has sold, and this is in the last 90 days of this one item, 2,089 times, giving a total sales of 278,000. The 10th seller has sold only 659, and which gives them a revenue of only 56,000. And this is very, very typical of what goes on. We call it the 6-10 because it's between 6 to 10 times more sales if you're number 1 compared to number 10. And it's all about optimizing. It all comes down to just optimizing. So the difference between a large or small eBay or Amazon business and a large one is just how many proven items we have listed. And by proven, I mean items that are selling over and over and over. And for those who read my book, I use this tree a lot. It basically comes down to every leaf on this tree is a product. And I think of every leaf actually as a business because we're into new items, each product sells over and over and over again. So the more leaves, the more cash comes in. The more leaves, the more products, and they flow through like the branches and into the bank. So the more products you have, the more proven products that's the size of your business. If you've got one item listed, 10 items, 100, 1,000, 10,000 items, that's the differences of your business. And then, of course, we only use proven items, so items that are already sold a minimum of twice in the last 30 days for our dropship businesses, and for importing only items that sold at least 15 times in the last 30 days. Another way of looking at it is many streams make a river. So the more products you've got, the more money you make. Okay, so tonight it's all about how to increase eBay sales fast, even for beginners. So now, because we're going to be increasing sales, I'm assuming that you already have sales that you wish to increase. I'm assuming you already have a methodology to find in-demand items on eBay and to list them. So tonight's about how to increase those sales. Now, if you're brand new and you haven't got a methodology in place to find in-demand items on eBay and list them, there's a free, I'm not going to go into that again because I've already done that before, but here's a recording of it. It's free. It's how to basically find products. It's basically the eBay 101, and there's a link to it. It's all free. So I'll be showing several free links tonight. So tonight's about removing any guesswork. Don't guess, only use data. And this is so critical. Only use data. Never, ever guess. Never, ever, ever guess. So, and the reason, of course, is all tasks must be duplicatable. So you can outsource it to low-cost overseas staff from $1 an hour now. And if you have to guess it, you can't ask somebody else to guess it. If you guess your methodology to find products, then you're going to have to get a staff member who has that same ability to guess, and that can cost you a lot of money. You're not going to get someone for $1 or $2 an hour who can do that. So everything has to be duplicatable. And for your VAs, always use 10% of your profits. So that way, every month when your business grows, your profits grow, you can spend more money on your VAs, your virtual assistants. I'm not going to go into virtual assistants again tonight, as I've done it before, but again, here's a free course showing how to find them, where to find them, how to train them. All right, so with eBay optimization, there's 124 optimization techniques. Now, you only need to know one more than your competitor to beat them, only one more. It's kind of like that saying about how fast you need to be to outrun a lion. And of course, the answer is you only need to be able to run faster than your friend. And it's the same with this. You only need to know one more optimization technique than your competitor to beat them. And one thing a lot of people get bogged down with is they're so bogged down with trying to master everything. They have to master Microsoft Word. They've got to master Google. They've got to master this and this, and then they get so bogged down. And it's like this. Here's a picture of how a fuel injection system works on a car. Now, you don't need to know this to drive to Kmart. You really don't. Now, if you really have a fascination for how a fuel injection system works, awesome. Go and sit there at night in bed and read a book about how it works. But you do not need to know that to drive to Kmart. It's the same with this. You do not need to know all this stuff. So just like if you've got an iPad, you do not need to know, and to read a 1-inch book. Or if you've got an iPhone, you don't need a 1-inch book to be able to use your iPhone. If you can do 5 things, make a call, receive a call, send an SMS, receive an SMS, and take a photo, you pretty much got your phone cracked. And this is the same. You've only got to know what we call the 95. So 5% of most things is plenty. I got taught a long time ago by one of my coaches, Dan Sullivan, that's the 80% rule. Just get things 80% good enough, and that you can over 10x your output if you just accept 80%. So we'll get bogged down trying to master too many things. And you're going to see a few things tonight. We call these barriers to entry. And barriers to entry is when you, oh my God, I've got to learn how to do this, how scary. Well, every time you go through one of these things that's scary, you get to the other side normally much quicker than you think you're going to. It wasn't that hard after all. And you leave so much of your competition behind. So every barrier to entry is awesome because so many of your competitors they'll just stop. And that's as far as they will go. So the more things you learn, the more competitors you leave behind. And like I said before, you're going to learn one more optimization technique than your competitor and you'll beat them. And more barriers to entry, every time you see a barrier to entry, go through it. The only reason I've got, we've had the success that we've had is I just keep doing the same thing over and over. All we do is eBay, Amazon, our websites. That's it. Every time I see a distraction, I ignore it. So, I've just been doing it for a long time. That's all. Made more mistakes than the average person. So getting more sales equals optimization. It's all about how to get your listings to the top of the search results. So first of all, to know how to get your listings to the top of the search results, you first need to understand how eBay's search engine works. And eBay's search engine is called Cassini. Now, Cassini rolled out in 2014. It was just previously called Voyager. And Cassini works on 4 things. I call it the 4 core values. And everything I'm showing you tonight all comes back to these four things. First of all is relevance. So what is your item relevant? Does it make, so when people search for something, is your item relevant to what they're searching for? And Cassini has done a great job now of making things relevant, just like, you know, Google does. That's why Google succeeded, because when people search for things, they get a relevant answer. You know, I remember back when, before Google was big, there was things like, you know, Dogpile and Alta Vista, all sorts of search engines, and you rarely search for something and you get something totally different. You'd search for some reading glasses and you get a home loan. But then Google came out and started getting really relevant results. So relevancy is a very big thing. The next is value. And then you don't always have to be the cheapest, but you've got to be on the money. So eBay is not going to show, if the average price of something is $100 and yours is $300, you know, it's not going to obviously show very well. So it wants to provide value to the buyer. Trust, and trust comes down to how long you've been on the system for, what's your defect scores, what's your feedback rating. We'll go through that tonight. Convenience. So if someone's in, say, Sydney, Australia, and they're not going to show a result from another seller who's in, say, Italy up as high when everything else is equal, because eBay realizes, or Cassini realizes, that people want things quickly. So they're going to tend to show other sellers who are closer to that person, to that buyer. So everything tonight we go through will be all come down to these four things. And the last one is Cassini is shopper orientated. I went back in the good old days, you know, I used to go to Chicago and the US and the UK and stuff, to all the eBay events, and yeah, it was all lovey-dovey and everyone was, you know, we're on eBay and everyone cuddles and kisses everybody. But then eBay changed the rules and it started feeling like eBay doesn't really care about the sellers, and it created a massive upheaval. And I'm not going to go into that, but at the end of the day, yeah, eBay cares more about the buyers than the sellers, and I'm okay with that, because if eBay doesn't look after the buyers, then there's nothing for us. Because what happened was sellers can't ever since then leave negative feedback for buyers, because eBay was finding that buyers were leaving the platform, and eBay didn't want that to happen. So yes, eBay cares a lot more about buyers than sellers, and that's just the way it is. So we just have to suck eggs with that. But that's the way, you know, eBay gives us a platform to make money on. So thank you, eBay. So I'm going to go into what we call the 16 times rule. And the 16 times rule is all about how we can potentially increase the sales of any item by a factor of 16. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we are going to, or you're going to, or anyone's going to increase your sales by a factor of 16. That is not the point. The point is just to show how this works.